Jay Massey is a full-time real estate investor. He's an entrepreneur.
He also teaches people how to find deals, raise capital for real estate investments.
Meeting Jay Massey in person, you'd think he's just a regular guy. He's got jeans and a t-shirt on and a pair of sneakers. But he's built up a multi-million-dollar empire.
I hope you do have an empty notebook because it's going home filled.
Jay gives back so much value that I've never seen.
Now, at this moment, when I'm looking at the kitchen, things are going through my head.
You want to be friends with him, and he treats you like you're the only person in the room, even though it's for the benefit of everybody.
This is how, when you ask yourself, how does Jay do it? This is how.
He tells people that they have to take action, and they have to take action now. I took the action, and the results have paid off.
What happens when the marketplace understands who we are and how we go out there? Hopefully you guys are doing well today. Got a lot of last minute stuff going on over here. And there we go. Let me turn that down just a little bit more. Perfect. All right. So hopefully things are going well for you guys today. For those of you who I am meeting for the first time, do me a favor. If this is your first day here, first time here, go ahead and type first in the chat. For those of you who have been here before, welcome back. Hold on. Now I'm getting an echo in the room. Oh, man. Let me see if I can get rid of the echo. All right, got it. So, all the technical stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for coming back again. Hopefully today I can share some more thoughts with you. For those of you who are wondering like what's going on, my name is Jay, CEO of CashFlowDiary. What we do is we help you become a bigger, better entrepreneur. That's the goal. We tend to focus on real estate and then specifically leveraging short-term rentals, and we teach a lot of principles all the way through. So, which is kind of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what I believe to be the skill that if you choose to practice it, you will learn faster. That's really what it comes down to. And right now, I think all of us are learning many things in many different ways. And I think if we embrace this one particular skill, and I'm going to break down what I mean by it, so you and I can get through anything and everything and become a better version of ourselves, so that we can be there to support our friends, support our family. And that's been the goal, and that is the goal. That was the motivation behind saying, okay, this is going to be the time where I finally go live and do this for 30 days straight. That's what's been going on, is that I made a promise to go live 30 days straight to see, mostly, could I do it? Would I do it? And can I actually keep it up? So we've been going live at 8 a.m. Pacific time since the first, and we're going to do our best to keep that going. Speaking of which, many of you are connecting with us on various platforms. For those of you who have not yet gone, or if you like Facebook and you're watching us in one of our Facebook groups or on my Facebook profile, you're going to want to get over to the Facebook page. And now that is the exact correct Facebook page, facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live. That is going to be the Facebook page you're going to want to be on, so that it's going to happen. What's going to happen is that you're not going to be seeing. So if you're used to looking at it in the group, what's going to happen is just going to be on the Facebook page and on YouTube. So for those of you who are on YouTube, you're already in the right spot. So good job there. And we're going to go from 7 locations to 2, because it makes it very, very challenging trying to keep up with all of the words and chats and things that you guys are talking about, because we want to have that interaction. I want to make sure that if you've got questions, or as you're asking questions, I could possibly get them answered. So with that said, make sure you get over to facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live. Now let me answer the other question. For those of you who are familiar with what we do and you're like, is this going to be about short-term rentals? No, not really. However, if that is something that you want information on and you want to know more about, we do presentations and information sessions around that. You can go to cashflowdiary.com/learn live. cashflowdiary.com/learn live. We are in the process of, we'll actually have another one of those today at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So if that's something that you're interested in, by all means, just head on over there and we'll see you there. Now, with all of that said, hopefully those of you, let me see who's here for the first time, if anyone. Well, let me get, there's my cursor. There we go. First timers. What? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. You guys are tagging friends and things. I like that. You guys are awesome. And if you want, feel free to hit that share button. What does this say? Michelle says, good morning. I hope you're feeling excellent today. Now, that's interesting. No one has asked if I'm feeling excellent. I am feeling pretty good. This is good. First, yes. Third time, first live. Got it. So I see. You've been here. Excellent. Welcome. And Jose, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Hopefully we'll see you again. And you were the first in the chat. I like it, Jerry. Well, awesome. You guys are awesome. I appreciate that 100%. And for those of you who are wondering, like, what has the content been, or what are we talking about? Basically, in the time that I've had the privilege of doing business, I started, my wife and I, we started our real estate career back in 2008 is when we first had our first closed transaction, June 18th, 2008 to be specific. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, San Bernardino, California. And that was a crazy time, to say it lightly, because during that time, we were still squatting in bank-owned property, and everything else that you know about going on with the marketplace, that was still happening. And through that, we had to develop a mindset, a way of being, a way of acting to get us through what was a very difficult time, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, etc. And part of the inspiration right now is, I think, a very similar time. I feel an echo. It feels like deja vu in the sense of everything that's going on now. And I know that there are a number of you out there that are would-be entrepreneurs in general, or maybe you have just been thrust into figuring out, how am I going to build a new stream of income? And you don't know. And again, that's not the goal necessarily of this particular, or these streams at 8 a.m., but helping you build the mindset, build you. In fact, I was taught a long time ago, if you build the people will build the business. This stream is about building you. And part of building you is to understand, what those strengths look like, how to make them come alive, to, as Anthony Robbins' book would say, awaken that giant within. So that is my goal with the time that you invest here, and hopefully you do feel like you get a return. With that being said, today, what I wanted to share with you is something that I have shared before, but I want to break it down in a way that hopefully assists you in retaining it, using it, making it your own. Very specifically, one of the, skill sets, I'll say. One of the skill sets that I believe a lot of us right now, if we embraced this skill set, just doubling down, building this one muscle, on the other side, next year, 2 years from now, whatever, we will all be bigger, completely different. We might not even recognize what our lifestyle even looks like. And I'm not talking about just monetarily. I'm like literally every area of your life. The skill set that I'm referring to is actually not typically considered something positive, but learning how to fail is what I'm referring to. Becoming proficient at failing is, in my opinion, a skill. Here's what I mean. A fail, or a failure event, if you will, that occurs when you just did not see, receive, or experience the outcome you had hoped for. You, first of all, in order to fail, you have to intend to do something. You have to intend to, you have to have an intention of creating something. Otherwise, you can't fail, because if there was never a goal, you can't miss it. There was never a mark to hit in the first place, which could be the beginning of the challenge. Maybe you have experienced disappointment to the point to where you're like, I don't want to try anymore. And I can understand that. Why keep trying if I can't, if I'm never going to quote unquote get there. This can happen, especially to entrepreneurs when you're in the process of, maybe you are in the process of building your business right now. And what happened is you learned that it wasn't an essential business and now it's gone. and it took you a while to get that far. And you're like, I don't want to try again. I understand that. Or maybe there's something else that feels like it's out of your control, and maybe it is, and you're like, I don't want to try again. I don't want to hope again. I understand that. Part of learning how to fail, though, I think as humans, we spend too much time not understanding failure, or specifically underestimating its power. Here's what I mean. When we, in fact, I think I'll do a better job of explaining this. Let me write this down. How to fail. I'll do a better job of explaining this by sharing with you who I believe, the individuals who I believe are out there in the world that you may have seen and experienced that actually do a great job, like really good job at failing. For example, an individual who is an artist of any kind, regardless of medium, but an artist. So if you take an artist, one of the things that's required is for them to, practice and tinker and experiment and go through the process of trying things, if you will. The part of the art, it at least from what I've seen, it rarely comes out, quote unquote, right the first time, right? So learning to use all of and develop all of their skills and techniques, and knowing when to use the right colors, or in photography, the right amount of light, or the materials, if you're, sculptor or create, whatever it is, artists are really good at it, because, and they don't necessarily beat themselves up over failure, because it's a part of the process. See, they understand that there's a goal. My goal is to create a thing, and it could be painting. That's fine. My goal is to create something, and learning that as you go, that it's part of the process. It doesn't feel like, I gotta start over, or it hasn't turned out the way that I wanted. Learning that was a very powerful lesson for me. I remember I grew up overseas in Germany, and one of the classes I took was an art class, and I don't even remember the teacher's name, but I just remember this one lesson from art class. The only lesson I truly remember, even though I was not the best at it. I wanted to be perfect. Like literally, I wanted it always perfect, a perfection issue. Maybe you know someone like that. Maybe you're willing to raise your hand and put a little hand emoji in the chat and say, yeah, that's me too. I wanted to be perfect. That perfection can be the enemy of doing anything good, even for that matter. So what happened is I wanted to be perfect. The teacher saw that. I was ready to start over. And in a very gentle way, she just suggested, she's like, Jay, why don't you learn to use your mistake? And I was like, I don't know that I completely got it, because I was really frustrated. I remember my emotions at that moment. I was frustrated at that moment. And then I got even more frustrated because now she's telling me to use my mistake. I'm like, what are you talking about? But she wouldn't let me start over. The one thing she wouldn't let me do is start over. And I had to still finish the project, even though I perceived it as incorrect, wrong, a mistake. It's interesting, the lessons that stick with you, I guess, because I didn't really think of it as important, obviously, at the time. I was frustrated. Yet, I do realize today, many, many times, how that one lesson from an art teacher whose name I don't remember is still with me, but also very valuable, because it's use your mistake. But again, unless you had an original intent. You had a goal. I don't even remember what I was trying to draw. I don't remember what it was. But whatever it was, it did not go well. That's what I remember. And what was frustrating is it was one of those things where, you know, like they have the subject in front of you and you're like trying to, it did not go well. And I'm like, it's right there. How come I can't go from here to, and it wasn't coming out right. But she forced me to use the mistake anyway. I don't remember the grade I got on it, and it doesn't really matter. What I do remember is that I learned to use the mistake, or at least what I perceived as a mistake. In actuality, that was actually a part of the process to create the final result, if that makes sense, right? It's part of the process to create the final result. Someone typed this in the chat. I'll say it one more time. It's part of the process to create the final result. What that means is you and I are not in our final form at all. Period. It is part of the process. This experimentation, this trying to figure it out, just, hey, am I good at this? You don't know, right? You don't know. And just because you don't know doesn't mean you shouldn't try or go find out. One of the best things that all of us can do, and that I have learned to enjoy doing, is to go find out, am I any good at this? Because I don't know. Like, this happens, I think, to all of us in various forms, and we get to choose whether or not we're going to be brave enough to go find out, because experiencing how we interpret these failure events can affect and does affect like how many times, how many ways, how many different experiences, and the value we can bring to the marketplace, right? You may be in a position right now where you're having to reinvent what the value you're bringing to the marketplace is, or you've got the business, but you have to redefine how you do whatever it is that your business does, or your job maybe is gone. All of those things are present for each and every one of us, but you get to choose. We all get to choose these small things. See, you just, and what's awesome about it, awesome in my opinion, is that we don't know what's on the other end. We might end up surprising ourselves one day, someday, simply because we gave ourselves permission to fail, right? Because unless we realize, or take the time to realize, we might not ever discover what we're good at, and heaven forbid, but we could even pass on without ever knowing, and then the entire world gets to miss out on what would have been our genius, right? So I guess the thing that I'm hoping that as I continue talking about failure and its effects and benefits is that we do try to fail at something. See, the past 5, 6, 7 days or whatever, I sent out, or we gave you a lot of different information, things that you may have tried or may have never tried before. And it came at you possibly very fast, and I understand that. But the real question is, have you taken any of it and tried to fail with it yet? Like, what did you do with the information? Did you just write it down? Are there any action steps that you did with the information that you received? See, one of the challenges that I have learned is that our traditional schooling system, I won't call it an education system, but our traditional schooling system teaches us, trains us, you and me, to complete the course before we try the thing. Meaning, don't try the thing until, kindergarten through 12th grade. Study the thing, now go get the job. Now go put it into practice. And that that delay does not serve us when it comes to learning. So my hope is that you have tried some of the things that we've talked about, that you've put together, the be, do, have exercise, that you've actually written it out, that you experienced many different emotions with it. And now, if you haven't, though, and you're feeling like, I didn't do that, well, I'm just going to say, use your mistake, right? Because it's part of the process. As opposed to what typically happens is we train ourselves to be ashamed of having not done something, right? Or failed to meet an expectation. And we run and we hide and we don't try. Well, in some cases, we don't try ever again or nearly enough, right? And the reason I'm sharing this is that I want to show you guys something. Let me see if I can find it. Because there's, where to go? There were some things that that have happened to me from trying that I would have never been able to do. What just happened to this? No. Don't do that. Okay, there we go. I see what happened. So there are some things that have happened to me that I would have never been able to have occurred. I don't even know if that was correct in grammar. If I had never been willing to try and to fail. Chief among them, what I'm referring to is that one of the things I learned is that I wasn't, physically great with, say, my hands in terms of creating something. So I'm not a sculptor when it comes to art. I have learned, though, that photography, on the other hand, is something that can be fun or exciting for me. And I've had the privilege of taking some halfway decent photos from time to time and being able to share those with individuals. And again, what I'm showing you, these are all photos. And again, it's just photos that I've created. Some of my favorite ones, like this one, is definitely pretty high on the list, right? And again, photography is another art, but you will where you will also learn that you have to use your mistakes, to say the least. There is no getting it right the first time, especially when you first pick up a camera. But over time, lots of practice, you can improve. And that's something that, again, I would have never understood, right? I remember her name is Maria. She literally sells some of the best, freshest fruit you have ever had. Like, look at that. Like, man, look at those. Anyway, some of the best, freshest fruit you have ever had every day. That's what she does, every day. And being able to capture or learn to capture images and create images has it's a different way of capturing memories and whatnot, and it has assisted us as a family, because that was part of what I wanted really good photos of my kids. That's how the whole thing started. I got frustrated because I just couldn't create them, and then I wanted to learn how to create them. And from that frustration was born lots of images, lots of practice, lots of practice. But it started with failure, and it continues. Every time you and I go to learn a skill, it starts with being willing to fail at it. A couple days ago, if I remember correctly, you guys, I had suggested one of the other skills that I was considering adding is another language. And I have not I've not taken any action towards that, but you guys suggested some, and some of you suggested some hard languages like Japanese. That just sounds like my brain would fall apart. I don't even like, I mean, that just sounds like ultimate challenge right there. Japanese. I've got no basis, no background, none of that. And I'm just like, But also that sounds exciting. But you know, when you're learning a language, you sound funny, don't you? Right? And when you're sounding funny, you don't necessarily want to practice it because you know you're sounding funny. But at the same time, because you sound funny, you know you should probably be practicing it. And we have this relationship with the concept of failure that tends to hold us back. But artists, like I said, they're good at it. They have practiced failure, which is why they can create, right? Another type of person who's also good at failure is are athletes, right? If you think about it, an athlete, we'll take I was gonna say dancer, but I'm like, is a dancer an athlete or an artist? But it's kind of like both. So either way, you take a dancer. Ballet does not look easy to me. Never has. Very disciplined, and I just look at it and go, wow, that's impressive. I can't do none of that. And that's just very impressive. Like how long, how many hours, how many, I don't know, broken bones, nope. Just crazy discipline on a whole new level that I can't even possibly imagine. Any dance form is got that in common. Any athlete, think about it. I don't know. I've never played lacrosse, but still, it's an athletic sport. Unfortunately, I won't get to see the Olympics this year as I had hoped, because I look forward to that. Man, I get really excited about the Olympics. Like literally, the Olympics are on. Do not bother me, because it's a collection of individuals who are out there crushing it, doing their absolute best. They are the best of the best of the best in the entire world at what they do. And we get the privilege of watching them do it. There's just something about that to me that's amazing, right? And I think that's why I still like at least the NBA playoffs when they happen, because again, that's when the best of the best of the best are willing to put forth their best consistently night after night, which is again amazing to watch. When you can watch someone who has practiced more times than you could possibly fathom, right? Their love and their dedication to something, I think that's inspiring. But that also means in order to get to that level, they have to be willing to fail. They have to be willing to miss the free throw. They got to be willing to miss the point after for the touchdown. They've got to be willing to get the play wrong. They've got to be willing to throw the ball. I don't even know how many times quarterbacks practice throwing, but it's got to be a lot. And it's same thing with pitchers in baseball, fielders. I mean, the amount of balls that you have to hit just to get on the team, let alone be good, requires focus and dedication. In fact, I bet many of those same individuals right now that with everything going on, you know what they're doing? They're practicing their art, their skill. They're getting better at the things that they know, like, hey, I'm still a dancer, so I still got to go dance. They'll find a way to make it happen. They won't let something get in the way of them doing what they know they were meant to do, what they're good at. So their relationship to failure is, again, it's a part of the process. It's a part of the process. It's not something that's separate to be avoided. It's not something that's separate to be avoided. In fact, instead of it just being a part of the process, what I have heard, especially from athletes, that it helps me measure my progress. Think about that for a second. We'll take a sprinter who is initially not that fast, or even a marathoner for that matter. Their goal is to just beat their time. beat the time. But what is your personal record? This is a thing. They track it, right? It doesn't matter that it's not better than, I don't know, Usain Bolt. I mean, but it matters that you have a personal record and you have an intent to beat it, that you want to improve, because that is part of the process. Are you measuring your progress? And I think for you and I, for us, we're knowledge workers in a lot of cases, right? Do we see our sport, our what we do in business the same way? As failure is a part of the process, right? You building a business and failure is a part of the process. In fact, how many times have you failed today could be a measure of your progress. Is that something you're willing to track, right? Adding skills, again, means you want to achieve something and you recognize that you're not good at it yet. And what I think is unique is that the more we allow it to be a part of the process, the more I allow it to be a part of my process, oftentimes the more times I get to surprise myself. Like, wow, I didn't know that I would end up being okay at taking photos and creating images. I didn't know that I would prefer sports. I love taking images of things that move quickly, right? That's fun for me. I'm still working on that ultimate hummingbird shot. Those suckers are hard, right? I'm still working on that. But I also like landscape nature, which is really strange to me because it's like a landscape ain't really moving. It's like, but at the same time, put me in almost every sporting event that I have ever done, I enjoy, with one exception. Baseball was a little challenging for me because it just moved too slow when you're trying to take a photo. It's just like, man, this is slow. But many of the other sports, it was fine. I didn't know. I can't even swim, but water polo was fun to photograph. Does that make sense? My point is embracing a willingness to experience failure, to not get it right, can begin to lead you on this journey. In fact, there's another type of individual who embodies failure very well, in my opinion, and that's a musician. A musician. Because from the beginning, right, they may have certain music in their bones and body, or hear it, right? You can hear, like, you can see me bobbing my head already because a beat just started in my head and I'm just like, okay, stop, focus. But a musician, the music is in them and it is seeking expression. It must come out. And in order for it to come out, it may not come out right the first time, but that's okay. That doesn't stop them. And they may want to get to, all kinds of very complicated notes and time signatures and whatnot to be able to do it. But it starts with scale. Very simple scales. It starts with the basics, right? The first time they try a song or a particular set of notes, chords might might not come out right. But what I find amazing is that I don't run into too many musicians, even when they are practicing, they didn't hold an expectation that the first time, and I don't know why maybe this is just only musicians, but they didn't hold an expectation of themselves the first time that they tried to play the instrument that it would sound like Mozart or Alicia Keys or Tarn Wells or do you understand where I'm coming from? They didn't have that expectation of themselves. There was an expectation that I was going to need to practice, drill, and rehearse before I got better. I find that interesting because sometimes we, again, as knowledge workers, we somehow think, I've never done a Gantt chart before, so doesn't matter. I can crush this. It's your first time. I'm not saying it's not important to get it right. And you're like, and some of you might have even typed in the chat, what's a Gantt chart? I understand, right? You may have never done that before. But a musician doesn't hold the expectation that they were going to be perfect. They never expected themselves to be. Now, over time, you know, they do expect to make progress, but they never expected themselves to be perfect from the beginning. But yet, I find that I can do that. And that's just curiosity. That is a curious thing. And maybe I'm the only one, I don't know. But I've said all this to say one thing, hopefully said it somewhat well, is when we go out there right now, we're all in that process of becoming something different, reinventing who we are, how we approach the marketplace. And I think that's a great thing, right? But we can learn how to fail, and we should. And as we embrace the process of failure and understand that it's a measure of our progress and refuse to hold as an expectation of perfection from the beginning, I think we get the privilege of finding out really the greatness that's inside each and every one of us. Can you imagine, like, just there are so many humans who have failed. I mean, Michael Jordan's a easy one. Many of you have heard of him and understand that he failed. I mean, there are, like, didn't think about it. Michael Jordan, the one you know, right? Many would argue greatest of all time. This is not the stream for that argument, but had challenges with his high school basketball team. I'll just call them challenges. Think about that for a second. You would have never, that's not something you would, And failure, right? It was what he embraced. Kobe Bryant, another one. The Mamba mentality is because you aren't the best at everything at the beginning. Otherwise, you don't need Mamba mentality. You need it because you're not the best at everything. You know, what's really interesting, especially about Kobe to me, from a individual standpoint, is that when you look at him as the way he's physically or was physically built, especially for people who played his position, there was nothing super over extraordinary that said, oh, he's going to be good at that position, right? He wasn't necessarily the tallest, the fastest, the anything. He won sheer out of will and the desire to do so. Being willing to improve, being willing to always do whatever it takes to be the best, period. He didn't have the obvious natural advantages, right? What I mean, let me get Usain Bolt. When you look at how he's built specifically for sprinting, it doesn't make much sense, but it's like, oh wow, he was built. Michael Phelps, there's a gentleman who clearly built for swimming somehow. You know, there are many people who you can see have the natural advantage for the thing that they do, but maybe you and I don't. But it doesn't mean you can't be great at it. But it does mean that you and I must embrace the concept of failure. And you know what's really cool about right now for you and I? Is that now is a great time to practice failing. Time to practice failing at the things that, hey, you need to, that you've always wanted to do or become. Who knows? That could be the thing that leads to the very next way for you and I to create value in the marketplace. Right? Who knows? So I've said all this to say this. You and I should learn to fail fast, fail forward, and fail frequently. Someone type that in the chat. Fail fast, fail forward, and fail frequently. Because, see, we can all fail, but we don't necessarily do it quickly. And we can all fail, and we don't necessarily do it in a forward direction. And we've all failed, but we don't do it often enough, frequently. Here's what I mean. When you experience failure next, hopefully later today, mark how long it is before you try that same thing again. Again, take a lesson from the athlete, the artist, and the musician. They tried a note. The note came out wrong. How long is it before they try that same note again? Do they wait a day? A week? An hour? It's not long, is my point. Very little time in between how long they try again. Failing forward. When an athlete is in the process of working on a particular skill, like a skateboarder working on a particular skill, whatever it be. It could be a simple kickflip. Doesn't matter. My point is, when the kickflip doesn't go well, right? If it doesn't go well, do they go, kickflips don't work, I'm going home? Think about it. Skateboarding doesn't work, I quit. Seriously? Is that what they do? Or do they continue to try again? They don't reverse course or try something. You know what? Skateboarding doesn't work, I'm going to go try baseball. Wow. Interesting. But yet, this is something that I find that we do. We definitely do in business all the time. We don't fail forward. We quickly jump to something else, when the truth of the matter is, most of the time, you just don't have that experience yet. And think about this. When you learn something new, how quickly do you take on trying it? How quickly is it? How much time, but from the time you go, ooh, I should do that one day. How long is one day? I've never seen one day on the calendar. I've never seen someday on a calendar. Think about it. And so what is that time distance between, And again, I'm not saying that it always feels fun, but it doesn't have to. But by reframing my own perception and understanding in relationship to the concept of not getting what I want, even though I had an intent, right? It doesn't mean anything. In fact, nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it. Being able to free yourself from the stigma around failure will probably encourage you to do more, and to do more now, when there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you and I to experiment with the new version of ourselves. Even if you aren't experiencing a lot of turmoil right now, you can still benefit from experiencing failure, right? Oftentimes the promotion you're looking for is on the other side of the failed attempt you're running from. And each of us, I think, can improve. And that's one of the many reasons I wanted to do this for 30 days. Because it's one thing to just go live for 30 days, not tell anybody. It's another to go live when I feel like it. Because, see, it's easier to let ourselves off the hook if we don't state an intent, if we don't actually admit that we have hope something is going to happen. It's easier to just run and hide. Because, you know what? When we experience failure, other people want to comfort us, which is good. Yet, it may not be necessarily beneficial. As you have heard said, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Is it beneficial to prevent your child, parents, from experiencing failure? Is it beneficial for you to prevent your vendors and or employees from experiencing failure? No, it's not beneficial, because one of the things you want to do is help them build confidence. The only way to do that is to be there with, support someone through the journey of experiencing failure, right? It doesn't mean let them fall alone and just hurt themselves and all this other stuff, but it doesn't mean it has to be so painful. But you can't protect them from it. That's one of the things that I am intentionally doing now during this time is that I'm helping my children experience failure by challenging them in areas that I believe that they already have talents in, and giving them the opportunity to try and then try again and then try again. For example, I think I said this to you guys, but maybe not. My 12-year-old, she is she has a thing for cameras and loves that type of stuff too. So I started giving her some videos. Say, hey, I want to see what you can create. Let's create an 8 to 10 minute video. See what you come up with. I'm interested to see. So she's now got some courses on video editing, and she's in there on her iPad editing video, because she's going to make mistakes, and it's okay. And I want her to push through them so that she can get good at editing video, because it makes sense. It's a skill set that I think will be in demand. First of all, gives her the ability to have her own business, and most importantly, can teach her a lot of lessons. And I will intentionally let her fail. There are things that she will do as a video editor that are not going to be great, and it's okay. She will get frustrated, and it'll be okay. So will you. So will I. And she may even try to fail slowly. I'm not going to let that happen. Or she's not going to want to do it as frequently. No, we got to fail frequently. We got to fail frequently. We got to fail fast. We got to fail forward. When we do all of those things, I think we give ourselves an opportunity to introduce the world to a new version of us. Hopefully during this time, in addition to, like we've been talking about, maintaining the correct mindset, the mindset that's going to help you build you, okay, so that you can then build your business, your family, whatever, you embrace failure. Because your worst case scenario, and I find this ironic, by the way, is that even if you never achieve the thing you're after, here's your worst case scenario. Because of the way today because of how we are, here's your worst case scenario. Your worst case scenario, if you tried 100 ways to achieve a particular goal, 100, and none of them ever worked. I find this ironic, but it's true. You could still produce an ebook or a course or something like that is all around, here are the 100 ways I tried to do X. Don't do this. Do you realize that there would be people who would find value in you sharing your failure? Think about that. You never actually got the goal you were after, but there are people who would find value in you sharing your failure, even though you never got there. What that tells me is that failure is important. It's a part of the process. It can help us measure the progress. And most importantly, it's completely okay. It's completely okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what kind of questions you guys got over here for me. We'll answer a few of those, and then I think we'll be done for today. All right. Let me switch to that one. Got it. There we go. Oh, wow. Lots of comments from both places. Let's see what we got. I'm loving what I'm seeing here. And don't worry, I'm working on getting the comments to be higher, because what happened is once when I'm standing, I can't, the monitor's way down there. So I'll figure it out. It's just, we haven't gotten there yet. Give me a moment. Let's see. Megan says, hello. You guys are tagging people. I appreciate that. For those of you who are here for the first time. Oh, also reminds me while I'm doing that. If you want to make sure that you don't miss any of these in the future, what you're going to need to do is go to facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live. For those of you on YouTube, you're in the right spot. Currently, so that everybody understands, we are streaming to 7 different places. And when it comes time to interacting with you guys, looking at the comments, etc., well, it gets a little challenging. So we're narrowing it down to 2. And that'll be facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live and YouTube. Those will be the 2 places that we will be. Michelle, what's that? What is your opinion on finding a financial accountability partner? I find it keeps people motivated at a higher level. Yeah. Is that Mitchell? Yes, Mitchell. Accountability keeps all of us motivated at a higher level. The real question is you learning, having a self-awareness to the point of understanding, accountability is required. Understand, no human reaches their top level of performance without accountability. None of us. That's why I like having a coach, because they can keep me accountable, right? And last year, someone challenged my thinking in having a coach, and now and again, this is just me exposing my thinking, but I hadn't had a coach that was a female, and I was just like, wow, I hadn't realized that I wasn't intentionally making that decision, but it was just something I was like, maybe I should, right? And now I do. And needless to say, it's been challenging. I've been experiencing a lot of failure because the ideas are different. They're applied in a different way. However, they have definitely helped us serve people better, which is amazing, because the company is being made able, being empowered to improve. And it's because of the accountability required with the coach. Oftentimes, our own thinking created the problem. And let me be clear about that. There's not a human that I have ever ran into who is not trying to do their best. So first of all, understand, anyone you have ever talked to or been upset with did their best, is doing their best, period. And no one wakes up going, hey, you know what, Mitchell? Today I'm aiming straight for the bottom. No human has ever done that. They're doing their best. I'm doing mine. And sometimes our best isn't good enough. But my point is, other people's ideas, when they come in, they can help us improve. And then learning to stick to those new ways of thinking, it takes accountability. There's no other way. There's a reason that in the United States that taxes are due on the same day every year. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Because there has to be accountability. If it wasn't, many people wouldn't. I'm not saying you wouldn't, Mitchell, but many people wouldn't pay their taxes because they just wouldn't. But there has to be accountability. The difference is that as we grow older, the way society is currently structured, when you were younger, your accountability was very, very frequent, almost daily, meaning your parents typically helped you with accountability by clean your room and brush your teeth, and every day, right? See, as adults, we don't go around reminding each other to brush our teeth. But not saying we should have to, but that level of accountability is just assumed, right? But you know, rent due every 30 days, bills, etc. These are all micro forms of accountability. Accountability is really necessary when we're trying to gain something that we currently do not possess. That's why fitness trainers are huge. Like, well, that's funny I said that. That's why fitness trainers are very important. Because keeping accountable is a thing. I know for myself, not wanting to disappoint people. That's why I said what I said when I started this on day one, is because it's a form of accountability. Create the accountability for yourself in some way, shape, or form. But don't create accountability as a way to outsource your responsibility is the main thing. And because that accountability, what you call them, accountability partner, it's not their responsibility, whatever it is, the goal that you are trying to achieve. It's still your responsibility. I have seen a number of people try to claim accountability or an accountability partner as something like it's somehow their responsibility. It's still your responsibility. It's still my responsibility. But accountability is everything in a lot of things. That's why our programs that we talk about in the short-term rental world, that's why people get a dedicated accountability partner. Because in the real estate world, it can be perceived as, oh, it would be a nice to gain situation. So therefore, we can let ourselves off the hook way too easy. I let myself off the hook way too easy. I have to make accountability intentional and painful. Like, I didn't tell my coach I was going to be doing this. I have another. But what's interesting to me is that she could be watching. Whew, that would be interesting. I mean, I don't know. But my point is, accountability is there. Public accountability is really good. Because I don't know how many people are watching. And even if one was watching, I was still going to do it. And I had to make sure that all of the mechanisms were in place to keep me through it. Because, again, I just believed that something good would come from it. I don't even know what. And that's fine. But accountability, yeah, you're on the right track for sure. Let's see. It's yes, Megan, it's part of the process to create the final form, the final result. Jenna, thank you for your kind words. I absolutely appreciate that. Hey, Stephan. What did I do now? Sorry, I wasn't even looking at that, Stephanie. I don't see anything there. All right, let's see. Video editing is easy to fail at. Super fun when it finally clicks. Yes, exactly. Almost every skill. I can't think of a skill that's like, yeah, I can't. No one wants to be bad for long. I remember, guys, I can tell you. I remember, oh man, it was a while ago, but I still remember the first time I was learning to dunk a basketball. Trust me, I wanted to make that happen as soon as humanly possible, because I've been able to palm a basketball for most of my life as far as I can remember. So that part was the easy part, but getting the steps down and not like hitting your head on the backboard and making sure you don't hit your head on the rim and get your hands or fingers caught in the net and all this stuff. It took a while to get it all, to make it all come together. And once you got good at it, oh my God, it's fun. Almost everything is like that, right? I can remember learning, and it was disappointing and it was frustrating, but it was part of the process to get to the final form, right? It was part of the process to get to the final form. It's true for every skill, right? It's just true for every skill. Sometimes we just perceive certain skills, certain things as optional, like I don't have to, which could be true. But on the other side of that frustration and struggle is probably the bigger, more beautiful version of you. Could you imagine if no caterpillar actually did the work, not only to find the right spot, to build the chrysalis and then break out? We would have no butterflies, right? Too many of us are still in caterpillar form right now. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Tell me more about failing frequently. Sure, no problem. When it comes to failing, well, you mentioned video editing, right? So can you imagine taking the same content, the same folder of footage, your A-roll, your B-roll, and any sort of shots and all that other stuff? Can you imagine having to re-edit it 15 times all the way through final form, including motion graphics, just to make sure you got it right so that the client was happy? Well, cool. Does that mean that the first time the client said no, that you get to wait 4 weeks before you deliver them the second version? No. You've got to do it in rapid succession. You don't have the time, that space in between. You would never learn to video edit or ride a bike if all you did was try once per month, fall, and then try again next month. That's not how we learn. We have to do it more frequently. Like, more frequently. Anyway, hey, Deetra, how are you? Women can be yeah. Tell me about it, bruh. Tell me about it. Right, everyone does their best in the moment. Yes, absolutely. Cynthia J, I've seen results already from what I did yesterday, creating my database. Yes! Oh, Cynthia, you're gonna get me all kinds of excited right now, because when we are not thinking or being intentional, we're stuck at that 3% I talked about. And there's 67% of more stuff that we could be doing, and that's where the real stuff is. Cynthia, you just totally made my day. That's all I'm gonna say right there. Your favorite accountability coach is watching, darling. Of course. Hi. Speaking of which, did I? Honey, I don't know where I put. Oh, found it. All right. Sorry. She's always making sure I don't put myself, that I keep myself healthy, especially when I do lots of presentations. And I had lost the, I don't even know what these are, but they're some kind of things that help my body so that I don't get overly exhausted from doing all this live streaming. Anyway, and she wants, I gotta make sure I take it. So I will be good, darling. Yes, you got it. Let's see. I love the too many in caterpillar form. Yes, Jay. Hey, Jay. Yes. The there are too many in caterpillar form. Absolutely. Because you can stay safe, especially we can stay in quote unquote caterpillar form because we surround ourselves with other people who are in caterpillar form. So no one, they're like, why bother? It's safe. I look like you look like me. We're good, right? Right? We'll all be caterpillars together. Yeah, but you could be a butterfly. And you all could be butterflies together. And that sounds like more fun. You could travel more ground faster. You could see, you'd have a different perspective of the exact same areas. I mean, all of these things are things that await on the other side. And depending on how we're bent, we just go, yeah, that would be good, but I don't have to. Or, yeah, I tried that, but it didn't work out. It hurt. Gotcha. Understood. Wow. Also love the bike analogy. Yes, absolutely. You would never, ever learn to ride it. Think about it. You just wouldn't, and here's the thing. Here's what's funny is that there is an area of our lives where we are willing to quote unquote fail more frequently. And it usually happens when Samsung or Apple or something like that comes out with a new piece of technology. Many of us are willing to fail at that, meaning they'll come out with this new thing. I don't know, many of you, maybe not, but do you remember when the iPhone came out? Because it had the on-screen keyboard. For me, that was weird. And I'm just like, I don't know if I like that. Now, today, different story. In fact, do you remember when, what is that on the on-screen? It's called swiping for your keyboard. Instead of individually typing each letter, how you can swipe. Remember when that came out? Some of you instantly, boom, no problem. Others of you kind of resisted. Some still may not be doing it today. Fine. And you just don't even care that it's faster. It could be this. It doesn't matter. My point is simple. There are certain areas where you are willing to fail a lot because you have seen the benefits, and it doesn't even register to you as failure. It doesn't even register to you as failure. You just do it. We're not talking about those areas. We're talking about the other areas where the development has not yet been seen. You and I have a lot of them, collectively, individually, and we've been all gifted time to focus and be able to take our strengths and make them stronger right now. And then was that the last one? Oh, no. Last one I see. It says, hey Jay, thank you for today's video. It was very appropriate to my current situation. Love it. You're welcome. My wife and I are trying to pick up a business we left behind 2 years ago, and our biggest fear is to fail again. Excellent. So, Jose, here's what I would say. Go fail today. All right? Now, I'm also going to say, the way that the sentence is written, you can interpret it that as you say fail again, as if you were somehow like the process stopped. Does that make sense? Like the process stopped. The process clearly never stopped because, would you say 2 years? Left behind 2 years ago. So see, what happened is the process didn't stop. You had a failure event, 2 years intervened, and now you're trying again. So, you just had 2 years in between. So what I'm saying now is go do whatever it is that you were doing, but this time, buddy, friend, don't wait 2 years to try again, right? How about 2 hours? Then maybe 2 days. In fact, I will share a story with you that some people still find challenging. I am not naturally, what do they say, extroverted, in the sense that I seek out and go initiate conversations with people. That is not my thing. And I remember one of the first times I was in outbound sales, very similar to what you are probably having to do right now, is you have to go out there, find a customer who's probably not even thinking about what it is that you need to do, or what you want to offer them and sell. And now you're in the situation like, okay, I got to do that and confront that again. When I was first in outbound sales, I absolutely got terrified. The phone weighed 200 pounds or more, and I was not about to pick that thing up. But guess what happens if you don't pick it up? You don't earn any money, or you get fired, blah, 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 blah. Wonderful. So guess what I had to do? I had to learn to pick it up. So this is, and I wish I was exaggerating, but this is exactly what I did. And I shared this with you, Jose, because maybe doing something like this will assist you, right? This is what I would do. In the Bible, there's Jeremiah chapter 1. Jeremiah, in that chapter, he is receiving a message to be strong, to be courageous, to go and do as he has been told. But he's afraid. Period. He's afraid. Long story short, as you go through the end of the chapter, you see and realize that where his strength comes from, who's behind him, he gets the courage, he does what he's supposed to do, because the message he is to deliver isn't exactly encouraging. Here's my point. I felt that way, so it was easy for me to relate to. And after reading the chapter, I felt, okay, empowered just enough to make one phone call. So that's what I did. I would read the entire, now mind you, I'm at work. Anyway, I read the entire chapter and I make one phone call. And when that phone would ring, yes, I was hoping they would not pick up and it would go to voicemail. And then after leaving the voicemail, I would definitely hope they would never call back. But that's where it started. But you know what happened after I hung up that phone? I was all scared again. So you know what I did? I read the chapter again. The whole thing. And then I made one phone call. And that's how I made it through my first days. Then I challenged myself. I was like, okay, I'm going to read the chapter and I'm going to make 2 phone calls. See, and I kept doing that until I could read the chapter, make 3, read 4, read 5, read 10. Does that make sense? So that I could get to the point to where I was enabled to actually do what was required. Because facing your fear, especially if you feel like you're facing it alone, is overwhelming. Overwhelming. One of the best assets that I've always had is my wife, because she faces these fears with me. And it sounds like, Jose, you said, you said my wife and I. So you got one too. Yay. You know, tell her what you're afraid of. Share that with her. And find something that you can use to give you the ability to face your fear just one more time, just today. And then do that. Do that action. Do the thing. And hopefully take from the idea, that I just gave you, and just do it in between each time. Like right before you're about to do something you're afraid of, this is what I do. And then you go do it. And then this is what I do. And then you go do it. And what ends up happening is you build up this muscle, this familiarity, to the point to where that fear disappears, right? The fear disappears. And then you start focusing on how well you do it. And even though you're experiencing failure all the way, you're building that muscle, you're getting stronger, you're making observations, you're improving. But man, that's just a part of the process, So, we did create, at least I think we did, the team. Let me check. I'm checking. We've got something for you guys. Someone, oh my gosh. Is there an easier way to type that? I don't have a way of, okay, Corinne, we've got to find an easier way to type this, but that's okay. Let me see. I might be able to do this, because one of the things that is coming up for us is you guys keep having questions. And what I want to do is we have a way, if you want, if you want, you can submit questions and it'll give us ideas for what we might want to talk about next, which I think would be awesome and fun at the same time. Let me see if so I'm trying to put the URL on the screen. So if there is a question or something that you are wondering about that you actually would like us to answer, or like me to answer, I will gladly do so, because maybe it'll help you in some way, shape, or form, or maybe not. Either way. All right, so let me do this. 1-3. Let me see if I get this right. 30 TAY. Q. Really? And A. All right, so this is what I was given. How can we help? And then that was this one. So if I did it right, yes, perfect. So if you want, we created a form today for you guys. You can go to CashFlowDiary.com, 30-day Q&A. So I asked the team to create a link real fast while I was talking today, so that you could submit a question if you wanted to. Obviously, it will add you to our email database, because that's what you have learned, that part of what we do anyway. But CashFlowDiary.com, 30-day Q&A. If you've got a question, feel free to submit it there. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, or wondering what's going on, or you want to make sure that you stay in the loop, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Definitely click the like button too, because apparently all of those things make a difference over on YouTube, and the notification bell, so don't forget. For those of you on Facebook, you want to catch up with us at facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live. Facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live, because, yep, totally messed that up, didn't I? Where's that at? There we go. Facebook.com/CashFlowDiary live. Because we're going to only be in 2 places soon. And for those of you who are enjoying this, you like it, it's helping you, you want to make sure that you're there as well. And feel free to tag and share with a friend. So I leave you with this one very, I would say, important thought. The thought is very simple. Whoops. There we go. The thought is very simple for today. We've covered a lot of different things throughout the time that we've been here together, and you probably are feeling, some kind of way about all the different things that we've shared, but hopefully also challenged and as well as encouraged. At the end of the day, understand this. We're all in this process together. We're all learning. And there are 2 things you cannot do at the same time. You cannot learn and look good. Ladies and gentlemen, I definitely appreciate the time that you are taking here. Hopefully this is helping. We will be back here 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. It's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.